Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today we're going to do something a little different to the last few episodes. We've been working on builds and projects around here. We've been working on making things look pretty. We've been working on taming horses. And today we're going to do something a little more technical. And for that, we're going to run down here into the mines to rediscover, I should say, something that we have not had a look at since the early episodes of this series. In fact, if we go down here, you will find exactly what I'm looking for, a spider spawner. So today, by popular demand, because a couple of people have been asking me in the comments when we're going to get around to this, we are going to convert this spider spawner into a farm for string. Now, we would also convert it into a farm for experience because having a monster spawner like this is a great way of ensuring that you'll be able to get a steady flow of experience. However, we have a double blaze spawner in the nether. We have two blaze spawners side by side, and those are actually much better than spider spawners or even zombie or skeleton spawners for delivering a large flow of experience. Even better than that, we now have access to the end, which means we could, in theory, create an ender farm, an ender for Enderman, and we could farm experience very, very fast that way. So we have a lot of options open to us. And I think the best thing to do with this is to start off slowly to kind of introduce projects like this before we get into the more technical stuff like blaze farms and enderman farms. But I think we're not going to turn this into an experience farm. We're going to turn it into a string farm. That is, we're going to farm these spiders for string drops. Now, there are going to be a lot of different designs for spider farms out there in the world, so I don't expect this to be the best spider spawner design in the world. In fact, it's probably going to be quite low tech as far as these things are concerned. There's a lot of very complicated designs, a lot more efficient designs than this one. So if you're looking for a super efficient farm design, then please go ahead and look elsewhere on YouTube, because there will be a lot of more technical players than me who will be able to do something similar to this. However, I can at least explain some of the mechanics of spawners like this, and we'll be able to do a quick experiment with this to see if we can get a decent amount of string, basically without really doing anything at all. We're going to be able to stand completely still, even away from the computer, for large periods of time, and still manage to get loads of string from this spider spawner. So the first thing I'm doing is clearing out the area a little bit. Spawners like this can actually generate spiders within a 9x9 area around the spawner. So if you count the spawner as a central block, it can go 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks in each direction. So that means this way as well, which is going to mean we'll probably finish our spawnable area around there. I normally mark this out with torches so it's nice and easy to see, like so. And then we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the fourth block is going to be there. So what I want to do is clear out the rest of this area a little bit, clear out some of the blocks in the surrounding walls, get rid of all of this cobblestone, which we can always reuse in the design later if we want to. The important thing throughout all of this is to make sure that the area stays well lit, because otherwise the spawner is going to start generating spiders, and we don't want to get attacked by spiders while we're working on this. And there we go. We've now cleared out a 9x9 area around this spawner with 4 blocks leading away on each side. That is the maximum area in which these spiders can spawn, at least as far as horizontal distance goes. In terms of vertical distance, they can spawn spiders a block above or a block below the level on which the spawner sits currently. And here is an interesting thing about mob spawners, which makes them different from the way monsters naturally spawn in the world, is that you don't need to have a solid block underneath them in order for the monster to spawn. Monsters can actually spawn in midair from spawners like this. So it is entirely possible, if you wanted to dig a hole all the way down to, say, bedrock, or at least a very low level somewhere where the spiders would be able to generate in midair down here and fall straight down to the bottom of a giant hole, and there they would take enough fall damage that they would probably die instantly. That's one approach we could take to this room, but it would take an awful lot of digging. Instead, what we're going to do is dig out the floor here 2 blocks deep. So we're going to have a 2 block deep section here, and we're going to put water underneath it. And of course, the great thing about water, as you will know from having experimented with it a little bit yourself or seen it in other videos here, water will actually move mobs around. If there is flowing water, it will direct the mobs into a certain place for you. So what we're going to do is set up a stream of water that's going to carry the spiders to a specific location where, fingers crossed, we're going to set up a means for them to die nice and easily. But in the meantime, we can continue digging this out and lighting it up, making sure that we put torches in, say, each corner right now. I think that will probably do. If you put one up close to the spawner, one on each wall and one in the corners, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a well-lit area. And now I'm going to do something a little bit dangerous, but I think I can handle a couple of spiders. I'm going to knock out some of the torches in this area that are lighting up everything. So you can see there, did you see that? That spider spawned in thin air. It spawned around the edge of the spawner, not on the floor, but in midair, and fell down to the ground. That is the mechanic we are going to rely on so that this spider farm is going to work for us. Let's knock out that middle torch there to give you an example one more time, and it's going to take a little while for a spider to generate in here because the rest of the room is lit up. And what it's doing is checking all of the valid spaces that a spider can spawn, which right now, considering the amount of torches we've got in here, is not many. But there you go, that one spawned right above the spawner, in fact, and that's something we're going to have to make sure we block them from doing in future, because the last thing we want is a spider deciding to stay up there on top of the spawner. This is essentially part one of converting one of these spawners into a farm, and it's creating the maximum possible spawnable space. The next steps are going to be a little bit more complicated because they require transporting the spiders to a killing mechanism. Now, the killing mechanism is actually going to be housed inside of this section of the wall here, so we're going to clear out a couple more spaces on this side, and this is kind of arbitrary. You can choose, basically, now that you've got this 9x9 room, whichever direction you want the killing mechanism to be placed in, and it really doesn't matter all that much, so it's all about what's convenient to you. But the most important thing is to move the spiders outside of the spawnable range, so outside of this 9x9x3 area in which spiders can spawn, because if the game detects that a spider is still hanging out in this space that's been generated by the spawner, it's not going to try and spawn any more spiders in, or rather, to get the maximum amount of spiders generating from this spawner, you should try and remove any spiders that are still here outside of the range of it before it continues to spawn stuff. You'll notice that a lot of players tend to have lots of water streams diverting spiders towards a sensible location, whether it's somewhere inside of their base or somewhere just a reasonable distance away from the spawner, and that is always so that the spawner can continue to generate monsters while the first set of monsters is heading over to the killing mechanism to be destroyed. Now, because I don't intend to use this as an experience farm, I'm actually not going to create any kind of system where the spiders go towards me to get killed. Instead, I'm going to set up a killing floor here made out of magma blocks. Magma blocks are a block we've used in this series before, or at least we've encountered in this series before, and what we're going to do with those is set up an area where the spiders can just flow over, take damage until they die, and drop the string directly onto the magma blocks. And that's why we have a few magma blocks stored up in this chest already. I'm going to bring 40 over there with me. I'm not sure if we will need that many, but we will start off with that at least. And the great thing about magma blocks is that they will not destroy items in the same way that lava does. So even if the mobs are taking damage from the magma blocks, it will not damage any items which appear there later. I'm actually going to light this area up a little bit. It seems a little dark over there, and I'm slightly worried hostile mobs are going to appear while we're working on this. So what I plan to do is create a floor of magma blocks over here, probably 3 blocks wide and the entire length of this room, so that the water is going to push spiders onto the magma blocks over here. The spiders are going to take damage like so until they die. They're going to drop their string here, and then we're going to have something underneath the magma blocks collecting up the string as it gets dropped here. In fact, with those magma blocks in place, it might actually be possible to give you guys a quick example by taking out the torches throughout the rest of the room. So let me drop a couple of water sources in here. Now let's take out the torches on top of the spawner so we get a couple of spiders spawning over here, and watch what happens. So as soon as the spiders fall into the water streams, even though they're looking at me and they're trying to get towards me, they are drifting in that direction in the water stream. Now, I do need to place another row of magma blocks there because the maximum distance a stream of water can travel like this is 8 blocks, and unfortunately, it's gotten as far as 8 blocks before it reaches the killing floor. But you'll notice that spider is over there. When it's not focused on me, it is actually taking damage from the magma blocks anytime it walks over there, and right now, it's trying to climb the walls. This is the unfortunate nature of having a spider farm, is that a lot of the time, the spiders themselves will try to climb the walls to get out of here. Now, I'm going to place down a few more torches just to halt the spawning for now. But yeah, you'll notice anytime they get onto the magma blocks over here, they are going to take damage, and they won't do any of that jumping around if there isn't a player in their field of vision. So all we need to do is create a space for us to stand in. The spiders will just be able to drift towards those magma blocks over there. They'll all die pretty much straight away, and then we'll be able to collect up the string. And in order to collect all that spider string that drops onto the magma blocks, we're going to need a couple of things. For a start, we're going to need some hoppers, and it won't be as many hoppers as you might think, because we can't collect items through the magma blocks just using regular hoppers. Instead, what we will need to make is a hopper minecart, and these have some very special properties which allow them to pick up items through other blocks, and I'll explain a little bit more about that once we've got it set up. We'd already collected a couple of minecarts and some rails, including some powered rails from the mine shaft that's down there. So luckily we have a lot of the supplies we already need, because powered rail requires you to spend a lot of gold. Luckily I've also got a fair amount of gold in here that I don't mind using on this project, so that shouldn't be too difficult. Ultimately, we will need enough powered rails to power the minecart as it travels around this area, collecting up string from the spiders. And yes, you'll notice in here that I've been doing a little bit more silk touch branch mining. I've got myself some diamond ore here. I'm going to fortune that at the end of today's episode just for fun. But for now, I think this should be enough. I think once we've got a little bit of gold ingots, and we'll need some redstone, of course, as well, I think this should be okay. Let's bring a couple of blocks of redstone just in case, because I have a feeling we might want those for powering purposes. I'm temporarily going to take up this magma floor now that we've tested it and we know that it pretty much works, and I need to dig down a little bit further to make sure we can install rails underneath the magma blocks, because that is how we are going to collect up all of the spider string as it gets dropped down here. You know what? I might as well take this iron as well. I'm going to have to replace the floor over here with something. Let's maybe put a little bit more diorite in. It doesn't matter what this floor is made out of. It just matters that it's 8 blocks long so that the water comes to a stop right there, and all of the spiders are going to tip over onto the magma blocks here. Now, I'm not placing these magma blocks a block further down or anything, because the spiders might be tempted to try and climb these walls to get back out. So the idea here is to create as little climbable space for these spiders as possible. I'm just going to quickly investigate what this is, because yeah, I keep hearing witch noises, so I think there are a few mobs spawning down here in the unlit sections of the cave. Hopefully we'll be able to deal with them, light this place up a little bit better, and we won't have to mess with any more mobs. Oh, looks like we've got a few skeletons down here. Let's take care of them quickly first and go through lighting this section up. Oh, would you look at that? We've stumbled across some diamonds. Fantastic. All right, let me dig down and grab those, because I will never pass up the opportunity to collect some diamond ore when I see it, especially when I've got my silk touch pickaxe on me. Hello. Let's see if we can get him to walk into the lava. Come on, try and follow me. I dare you. Come on. Nailed it. Got him. Brilliant. Okay, quick check to see if there are any more diamonds down here. I didn't realize we were quite so close to diamond level, but I guess we are. A little bit of gold. Oh, this is a nice little corner of the caves, isn't it? Fantastic. Sorry, I've gotten a bit distracted from the spider spawner, folks. I've got to have some recreational time in all of this hard work. And normally this is the kind of thing I might be tempted to cut out of a video to save time, but then it'd look a little bit suspicious if I suddenly turned up with a few more diamonds in my inventory, especially, oh, if we've got a decent sized vein here. Oh my gosh, that was 9 diamond ore blocks in a row. Did you see that? That was incredible. I'm going to throw out the granite. I want these blocks. I'm slightly worried that there are lava noises nearby though, so let's be very careful here. Let's make sure we can pillar back up with some stone. Yep, okay, we're good. We're good. Nice. Okay, that was lucky. That was a nice little find. And just in case anybody who is playing in this world is short on diamonds, those were at 19, 15, 200. Very cool. Let's get back up to the spider spawner. We'll put the rest of those resources in here. That's a nice little find. I'm really happy with that, actually. And now let's explain exactly how this minecart hopper system is going to work. So to demonstrate, I'm going to put down a piece of powered rail here. We're going to put our minecart with a hopper on top of that. And you'll notice this has a hopper-sized inventory. 5 slots there, can store up to 5 stacks of items. And these can actually pick up items through other blocks. I think it's something to do with if it's standing on a rail, the minecart with a hopper hitbox actually gets pushed up into the block here. Even though if I press F3B to turn on hitboxes, it doesn't really look like that's what's happening. Trust me, it is. Now let me use a couple of other blocks here and just kind of pillar up so that I can chuck some blocks on top of this as an example. We'll throw the other magma blocks onto here, and you'll see that the ones that actually land on top of the block when my throw is on target will actually disappear. And when we click on the inventory for this, you'll notice that those blocks have all ended up in this minecart with a hopper. Now, all we need to do is set up this minecart so it automatically travels around underneath the magma blocks on a rail, and it will collect any string that drops on top of the magma blocks. For this to happen, I'm going to place a redstone block down here in this corner, and we're going to create a kind of S-curved section of track, like so. Now, any powered rails which are connected to a power source like this can actually stay powered for quite a distance before the power runs out. So remember that if you, I think it's probably 13 blocks in each direction or something like that, they will still be receiving power. The redstone block is a decent power source, but you can use any other kind of power source. You can power it from below with a lever or a redstone torch or anything that can power the block below this, allowing the powered rail to be turned on. And in an ideal situation, we would be using exclusively powered rails for this, except when it comes to the track turning, because regular rails are the only ones that can create curves like this. But since powered rails are quite expensive, we're only going to be using a couple at a time here. And then now we're running into problems where the powered rails are actually connecting. There we go, yes. The powered rails end up connecting to some of these tracks, and as you go, you may have to fix up the rails to curve like this, because occasionally if you don't have a if you don't have a rail already placed here, for example, and you try and place a rail next to one that already exists, it will automatically try and curve around towards the rail that it already knows is there. So instead, you've got to place a rail here before you place a rail here, and then those two will connect up, and the normal rails will have priority because they can create curves like this. The minecart might lose a little bit of speed in some of these turns as well, so it's usually a good idea to have a powered rail almost immediately after a bend like this, and even to take out some of these blocks on either side, because we don't want it to run into the blocks over there and lose momentum. You know what, now I'm looking at this, it occurs to me I should probably be building it the other way around, because I want the last piece of minecart track to finish up over here, because that's kind of closer to the entrance to my mine than this bit over here is. So bear with me a second while I swap all of this around. I just ran out of rail, so I had to make a little bit more, but making some more powered rail should be as simple as putting a stick in there and a redstone dust. Yes, there we go, fantastic. We got some powered rail there as well. That is basically all we need now. One other thing to remember is to try your best not to have water make any contact with these rails, because water will remove any rails where it splashes in that area, so just be careful of that. Now, I've placed that crafting table in a pretty awkward location, didn't I? Let's put it there instead. Let's make a couple more hoppers, because I will need a couple of hoppers at the end of the track here. This is going to be, like I said, a very low-tech system. We're just going to have the minecart run over these two hoppers here, and it should hopefully be able to deposit everything into a chest on the other side here. There we go. We're going to put the chest in this corner. We're going to try and make it a double chest. Yes, there we go. And then we'll put two hoppers facing into it like so. And the direction of these hoppers is going to be a little bit hard to see, so let me dig out the wall here so you can check this out. Oh, that was dangerous. Shouldn't have dug straight down, but there we go. These two hoppers are facing into each other. So to place a hopper, we've covered this in a previous episode, I think, but we'll go over it again. To place a hopper facing into a source like this, you just need to right-click on it. You need to shift right-click in this case, because it's going to open the inventory of this chest otherwise. And then you need to, again, shift and right click to place this hopper so it's going in that way. If it's not going into the block, it'll look like that and it'll go straight down. But if it's going into this block next to it, then this will direct items through a chain of hoppers. So if I put some andesite in here now, you'll notice it all ticking away. It's going through that hopper one block at a time, and it's all going to end up in this chest over here. And that is how we will do it on this side with the item collection. We're going to have the powered rails run across the top here. We're going to have these powered by a redstone block, which is going to be here. The main reason to have it there and not next to these hoppers is that redstone current will actually lock a hopper and prevent stuff from traveling through it. But if I put the redstone block here, that should allow items to pass through the hopper like so. Let's chuck a couple of dirt blocks on there as an example. Those should all end up in the chest, and they have. Fantastic. So that is running as expected. That is all it needs to do. We could even have a manual trigger mechanism set up here if we get a piece of cobblestone, which I don't have on me right now because I've been using a silk touch pickaxe. But if we make a lever, you can actually set this rail to turn on or off manually, and that will allow you to start the minecart rail whenever you want to. We'd have to remove that redstone block and just power this track using a lever, but that should be relatively easy to do. So to explain this a little better, powered rails will actually push a minecart along in whatever direction it's traveling when they are powered. When they are unpowered, however, the minecart will actually come to stop on those, and it won't be able to move until that rail becomes powered again. So we'll actually need to make this section of track only 1 block long for it to stop in the right place that it can go again when we press the button or pull the lever or power whatever this rail is next time. So here's the example. Yep, it slots into place on that block. Once you press the button again, it will move again. That's really all you need to do. But I guess we do actually have some cobblestone in here, so we can demonstrate with a lever instead. Let's make one of those really fast, and let's pop it on the wall over here. This will permanently power this rail, so whenever the minecart comes to rest here, there we go. So that whenever the minecart stops in here, it will automatically get pushed back out again and collect up all the string. But then once we turn the lever off, that rail will depower and it will be able to bring the minecart to rest there. And then you can just flick the lever again and off it goes again. So I'm going to lay the magma floor back down here. We're going to do another quick test of the spider spawner, knock out all of the torches and see how much string we can get just by automatically collecting it up with this minecart. Now I will need to knock out these torches and very quickly run back to my hidey hole where that chest is, because the spiders are going to start spawning in here very quickly. There's one now. Let's take out that torch as well, and the spider's going to try and follow me for a second, so I will have to fight him off, and then we'll block up this area so that the the mobs can spawn. Let's turn the torch on and let's see. As you can see, like I said, the string is getting collected through the blocks there, and all we need to do is hide ourselves in here for a short while, and we should hopefully be getting a decent amount of string coming through. So I've opened this up a little bit to try and fight my way out of here because I am done standing here for the moment. It's also worth noting that when you stand near a spawner to activate it and have the mobs collect around here, you need to be within 16 blocks of the spawner for it to activate, so bear that in mind. But having fought a few of the spiders manually, I've collected a bunch of spider eyes, but even so, this machine has been going okay. It's collected us just over half a stack of string in total. That's probably including a couple of looting kills from my looting sword. It isn't the fastest farm, and that's why you will see a lot of people using cave spider spawners for these string farms, because cave spiders, while they are poisonous, so they're a little bit more difficult to handle, once you have a system like this in place, you can often find multiple spawners in a mine shaft, and if you have a lot of spawners close enough together that they will spawn a lot of spiders all at once for you, then you will end up with a huge amount of string in not too long a time. And since we didn't do this earlier, I'm going to create a pillar right the way from the ceiling to on top of the spawner to make sure that nothing can actually end up resting on top of the spawner, because I did notice a couple of times when I dug that hole out that there were spiders just sat on top of this not moving anywhere, and ideally we want them all to fall down into the water and get carried over here so that more spiders can keep spawning. Now there are a couple of additional steps we can take here that I personally would consider optional, but it's kind of useful to have them. One is a means to switch on and off the lighting in here, and that is done through the use of redstone and redstone lamps, which I don't have any of on me right now, but we can easily go and craft some, and that will allow you to turn on and off the lighting, so basically you can enable or disable the spawner whenever you want. Now obviously, as I said, if we walk more than 16 blocks away from the spawner, it is going to disable itself naturally. Let me try and explain that visually. If I step away, there we go, you'll notice that the flames and stuff have died down. The spider in the middle is no longer spinning. Because we're 16 blocks away, that spawner will not be active, so you don't need to worry about it churning out spiders when you are super far away. All you would need to do would be walk out of this mine shaft and this thing would pretty much guaranteed not be active. But if you're in the area, it is sometimes useful to be able to enable and disable the lighting in here so you can guarantee that spiders will or will not be spawning. The other thing to do is to create a nice little AFK room, and away from keyboard room, so that you can collect all of the drops from the machine without having to interfere with the inner workings of the spider spawner at all. And that's going to be very convenient for here, because right now we're doing this from this end of the spider spawner and it's not the best place to be. So I'm going to block all of this off and we're going to dig our way back up to the mine shaft that we have elsewhere. We're probably going to encounter it if I dig upwards like this, or we're going to encounter a completely different cave. Well, that's good news, I suppose. That looks like the bottom half of the spawner, is it? Okay, maybe this is... Oh, this is a place we've dug down from before. Fantastic. So we could easily get out there if we wanted to, but it might be easier just to have a surface access over here somewhere. So how about we keep digging up from the spot where we were, and sooner or later we encounter the place where we came in. So this is the cave that goes out to the surface in this direction. If I follow the torches back, we'll be able to find it. Yes, that's the way back to our farm. So actually, all I really needed to do was come up through here, and we can turn this into a more formal entrance to the spider spawner. Let me block off this cave like so that we don't get distracted on the way. All we need to do is head straight down into this section here, and that's where we'll be able to turn the machine on and off. We are definitely within range of the spawner here, so we would just need to flip this lever, get the minecart collecting stuff, and we could create a safe space for ourselves down here that monsters wouldn't be able to get in, and we can just stand here and collect the drops as we wait. The next optional step, which is one that I actually really like, is to decorate this place, because for a start, it's all covered in stone right now, so it's actually not super obvious where the spider spawner is in the grand scheme of this cave, and I think it would be great to have some sort of decoration so that if we go mining around this area, we know not to mine through the walls because they're either made of stone brick or maybe black wool to look like the spider skin texture or something like that. Either way, it would be a good idea to have something to differentiate this from the caves around it. So that's going to be another project. And last of all, it might be a good idea to create some sort of overhang around this area so that when spiders get funneled into this area, they have trouble climbing up the walls, and that's going to be a little bit more difficult. Some people use signs to stop spiders climbing up walls, but I can't remember if that has been changed, if spider behavior no longer allows for them to be blocked by signs or something like that. Maybe some folks who are more experienced with spider farms can let me know. But in the meantime, I think we're going to be done with this project for today. We've spent a lot of time on it already in this video, and I want to go back to the surface and fortune all of this diamond ore that I've collected in previous episodes and this one. So let's find our way back to the farm. Should be relatively easy to get back. All we need to do is hop up here, and there we go. We can see grass in the distance. We are on our way out, and luckily it is daytime. Looks like the sun has just come up. I'll have to make sure there's no creepers around that are going to attack me. Nope, it's just some long grass in the distance. I get so paranoid about long grass. Anyway, let's hop into the house here. Let's add this diamond to our stash, maybe put away some of the resources we have here, and I'll give you guys an update on the spider spawner situation in the next episode, because I'm sure we will have made some progress before then. But now, the moment you've been waiting for, and let's do it down here on the puzzle area where we've been farming those spruce trees. We're going to lay out each of these diamond ore blocks, and we're going to break them all with Fortune 3 and see how many diamonds we get. Now, normally with Fortune 3, you will probably get about twice of the amount of diamond ore you place down in diamonds, so let's see how well we do here. I think we put down 38, so I think we're at least going to get over a stack. That's a good start. Seeing 2s and 3s of diamonds popping out of these ore blocks is exactly what we wanted, and I reckon we'll get a fair amount out of this. You can see them adding up in the hotbar. So far, that's already half a stack. Pretty good. Pretty good. Looks like this is going to keep us going for a good while here. We're up to 47, 51, 55. Oh, these are some good fortunes, guys. Yes, there we go. That's a full stack, and I'm sure there is more adding up in my inventory as we speak. Those last two only gave me one at a time, but that's okay. Oh boy, we're getting so many at this stage. Right, let's see how many we got. A stack and 26. Almost a stack and a half. That's really good. That actually is going to keep us going for a long time. And remember, diamonds are also something that you can turn into a resource block. You can put 9 diamonds into a diamond block, and those are probably the most expensive blocks you will ever build with, probably, unless we're talking beacons at this point. And we will get into beacons in another episode, but that is 10 blocks of diamond. Not bad, folks. Well, that's going to be it for this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, we'll give you an update on the spider spawner in the next episode once we've made a little bit more progress there. I'll show you how to wire it up with proper lighting and everything. It's going to be great. Don't forget to leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.